After many months of collecting parts for Project Black Pearl, I'm finally ready to get back on this guy. I've picked up a set of 5 Apex Arc8 wheels, Super Sprint headers, BC Racing coilovers, a complete suspension set for the rear of the car, control arms bushings, diff bushings, subframe bushings, seals, all sorts of things. I even picked up a spare transmission for this guy so that I could take it apart, learn how to rebuild it, sort of. You can't really buy parts for these, but I can seal it up because it's been leaking. And the tranny that I brought was broken for super cheap because of the doom bolt. If you know anything about the 6-speed transmissions in the older E39s, you should know about the doom bolt. If you don't, stick around for a later video where I show you what that is, how to fix it, and not the easiest way possible, but definitely gonna get it fixed. Today what we're doing is finishing our upgrade process on the interior. I've done all of the interior up to this point except adding a subwoofer. And a subwoofer is definitely something that's missing. So I picked up this CT Sounds complete kit with a 10-inch sub, an amplifier, wiring, a bass adjustment knob, which I probably won't use. And because previously I installed this Ionon head unit, it should be a lot easier to install a subwoofer and get the signal back there than if I still had the factory unit. But I do still have the factory DSP, so I'm not sure if that's going to interfere at all. What do we got to do first? We got to get this sucker out so we can get wires run to the back.
Over on the driver's side here, we've got that double brake pedal under there that's going to get a little bit in the way as we try to pull out the little kick panels. Then we got to pull the trim and we'll drop down this knee bolster. It's going to give us access to the steering column to get our cables up and over.
Now, why would I pick the driver's side to do this? Well, for good reason. You don't really want to mix audio cable or audio signal cables with high power. And on the E39, the primary battery circuit, charging circuit, everything, starting circuit runs on the passenger side to the battery. So basically anywhere you run over there, you're going to be riddled with a ton of power. So driver's side it is. I also took the time while I was here to pull the A-pillar and a bit of the headliner and reroute my microphone from this corner to up inside the actual microphone holder spot from the factory placement should this car have had a microphone. So I'm going to follow the same routing up and over the column that was safe for my microphone cable, and then we'll go from there. Now, the fun part. We're going to pop all of these panels across the side of the car and hopefully not break all of our plastic trim clips, which unfortunately on an older car like this is somewhat of an inevitability. No words today, apparently. With our harness run up under the carpet, it pops out right here. If you notice really closely here, this is actually all the speaker wiring in the car. It flows through this side, through the rear partition wall, and back to this corner at the amplifier. Another reason exactly why we're running all of our power, or all of our signal on this side, and all of our power over there. Like we talked about before, the passenger side carries the main power sources to the car, all the way forward to the fuse block under there, to the fuse block in the dash and under the hood. Now we're getting to the creative spot. I got all the panels out of here, which wasn't exactly hard, but it was tough because the little plastic thingies wanted to break on every other corner. And what I'm thinking is I want some symmetry back here, so I'm going to mount the sub right in the middle. But I want it to not slide around back here. And one of the ideas I'm working through right now is using those mounting points there for this plastic tray. I'm thinking if I can get a riv nut in there, run a sheet of steel across, and then mount up into the bottom of my subwoofer with something like this, then I can come up with a thumb screw idea or something that I can reach back in there, twist it, lock it into place, and it's not going to go anywhere. But I'm not really sure how to accomplish that just yet. So I'm going to start drilling some holes, drop a riv nut in there, and maybe some studs so that I can try to line everything up with the actual floor carpet before to get a better idea where this is going to go. Next, what we got to do is we got to mark out our carpet. See if we can figure out a way to identify our spot here. So we're going to line up the front side. I'm going to pull all the way forward. Put the back down. Feel it right there. And right there. Yeah. A nice little indentation. We'll cut a hole right there. Right there, put it back in, and then we'll come up with where we can make a bracket. Nice. Everything just kind of plopped right into place there.
In an effort to avoid just using wood screws or sheet metal screws, I'm going to be using wood inserts here. So I'm using my bracket here with this steel bar to at least give myself a reference to where I'm going to be putting these holes. Then I'm adding some epoxy to the wood because I don't have any wood glue, and some epoxy to my actual wood inserts. These are M6 inserts, or actually no, these were 1/4x20 inserts. I used M6 riv nuts in the car. So the 1/4x20 wood inserts go in, which is going to give us a really firm footing to be able to put these screws in and hold our plate in place.
Give it the dad tap.
It's not going anywhere.
Let's recap where we are. We were able to push our RCA cables in through the rear firewall through an existing grommet where the factory harness runs through, and we ran our remote wire through there. On the power side of things, to make it much easier, what I decided to do was use the factory fuse block, and I'm going to be using a 50 amp fuse. It calls for a 70 with this system, so I'm going to undersize it and see if it blows. I have an 80, but I don't want to go oversize. The fuse that it came with was 100, and I didn't really like the idea of the aftermarket setup. So I ran my ground to an existing ground location that wasn't being used because it's just as a bracket, and my power into a factory fuse block. From there, it was really easy to just run the wires up to the amp that we mounted to the rear deck lid. And we did that through some rubber isolators so that it does have a little bit of flex to it if needed. In the deck lid, we just used some riv nuts like we have elsewhere to make sure that everything's going to stay solidly in place. As far as our subwoofer mounting, what we're going to be using is this steel bracket that I fabricated out of some, I think this is 14 gauge steel plate or steel bar. This is 2-inch bar stock. And then I welded these little ears on it so that we can mount it underneath the carpet and then solidly to the frame, and then from underneath the carpet up into the subwoofer itself, so it's not going to move, which incidentally is going to be our next step here.
Oh yeah, you're good.
I'm a little stuck on the front. There we go. All right, we did not think about this angle here.
There it is.
This is gonna be some kind of nightmare if we get a flat tire. We're just gonna call AAA and be like, yo bro,
We need some help.
I don't even know.
Yeah. That's worth the pain of getting it in. Because now that guy's just in there.
Now, can we get the holes to line up? Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Now, unfortunately, we can't play any of this. But...
Yeah.
We're gonna have to work on some rattles. That'll take a little bit of time.
That's awesome, though.
That's exciting. Oh, man.
Dang, that is good. Like, if it's good from back here, it'll be good inside.
And of course, with every subwoofer comes the subwoofer rattles. So we pulled that sucker back out and we deadened up the plastic under here.
Even anything inside.
It's the sheet metal flexing.
That's insane.
And then, well, there were more and more rattles. But these ones were really easy to take care of with this Amazon Dynamat stuff, We just filled in all the gaps and got all the sheet metal to stop rattling around, and I was pretty happy with the way it turned out. Now to play with it.
One of the beauties of an older BMW is just how incredibly well insulated they are. We've been playing around looking for different rattles, and absent the ones we found in the trunk, which has the greatest air pressure, we haven't really found that much. Judah's currently in the car right now, jamming out. Right in this corner here, the bottom, if I tap right there, there's a little rattle going on. I haven't figured out if it's going to be a hinge adjustment or a latch adjustment, or I don't know. Let's see what Judah's got to say inside. All right, hit the music. There you go. All right, boss, what do you say?
It is the best upgrade you could have done for the money.
So for less than $400, we were able to get a sub, box, amp, and wiring installed in the car. I did add some of my own flares, like some protective sheeting on the outside and some shrink wrap and some ferrules. I didn't run any just wire. And then I modified the system by running my own connections on the end of the power line directly into my factory fuse block, because honestly, it's way cleaner. Even with that ground wire there, I might wrap that in Tessa tape so that it blends in even more. Judah and I are really excited for our next steps here to get all of these parts in the car. We've got, like I said before, a full complement of control arms, coilovers, bushings, bearings, mounts. I even picked up a set of M5 rear stiffening plates from a junkyard here locally. Project Black Pearl is coming along quite nicely. Now that I've got the Tesla for daily duty, I can get kind of stupid with this car. I'm gonna lower it, get the headers on there. I've got some pretty severe dry rot in these Michelin tires. They're from 2018, and the owner before me had the car sitting for like 4+ years in his garage in this Phoenix heat because he didn't want to get to all the repairs. Understandably, this car did need a lot when I got it. Hey, if you've really enjoyed the video, if you've hated the videos, if you don't want to see any more, I don't know why you'd still be here, but either way, hit the like, dislike, I don't really care. One of the buttons down below, just tell me in the comments why you hated it or didn't like it or did like it, or what system you're running in your car. I'll put an update to how this lasts over time if I get it attuned right. So far, so good. It's working marvelously for all the music that I listen to. Thanks for watching. We'll see you
In the next one.